Om Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Karpatam Maham Vande Paramananda Madhavam.
Dinam, but I cannot hear anyone.
No?
Oh, I can hear you.
Hi.
Thank you.
You just came into the pause when we finished mantra, and that was the little silence.
My apologies.
Everybody's silent, strangely enough. Yeah? Okay, usually we are talking. Yeah. How are you, Gregory? Fine?
Oh, wonderfully well. Working on a project and having more time to, there's a little more space in between my thoughts. That's why I came up here. So it's all that I've expected. So.
Great. All right, let us start with this. Ananyachetach satatam yomam smarati nitya shahatasyaham sulabhav partha nitya yuktasya yoginach. Of the one whose mind is not anywhere else but constantly fixed unto me, who remembers me constantly, tasyaham sulabhah. For him, I am very easily attainable, Partha, Nitya Yuktasya Yoginacham, the one yogin who is constantly united. Mamopetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanach samsiddhim paramam gatach. And having realized me, punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanach. The great souls do not come to the birth of the misery. Samsiddhim paramam gatach. They are following the path of great realization, or complete realization. Abrahma bhuvana lokach punar avartino arjuna. Mamupetyatu kaunteya punarjanma navidyate. And from the worlds of Brahman, they do not come again, they do not return again, having reached me, O Kaunteya. They do not know the birth in the form as we know it again. Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Ahar Yad Brahmano Viduch Ratrim Yuga Sahasrantam Teho Ratra Vido Jana. So the man, or let us read first the translation, it would be easier. Those who know the day of Brahma, 1,000 ages in duration, and the night, 1,000 ages in ending, they are knowers of day and night. So this is a very ancient idea of the day and night as the day and night of Brahman, the spirit, which consists of thousands of yugas, not just years, but yugas, ages. So those are the knowers who know that these day and night continue for a long time, for ages, for infinity. Avyaktad vyaktayah sarva prabhavanti ahar agame prabhavantyahar agame ratriagame praliyante tatraiva vyakta samshite. samjnake. Avyaktat vyaktayah sarve. From the avyakta, from the unmanifest, all the manifestations come. Prabhavanti. Ahar agame. In the beginning of the day. Ratriagame. With the coming of the night. Pradiyante. They disappear. Tatraiva avyakta samjnake. And that is called avyakta. So the avyakta is nothing but pralaya, or disappearance of all the manifestations within the unmanifest. So unmanifest reveals everything and withdraws from everything. And that would be the beginning of the day and night of Brahman. The idea of thousands of yugas within day and night of Brahman is also quite an amazing thing, because if we think about our universe, we can see immediately that it is, first of all, it is infinite, and not just symbolically infinite, but literally infinite. That means when we are moving in this universe with a high speed, we are flying through these spaces on our whirling Earth around itself and the sun, and our solar system is flying around the center of the galaxy. You know with which speed we are flying around the center of the galaxy, our solar system? Somebody may know it.
I don't know it, but I want to know it.
It's 1,000,000 kilometers per hour. This is our speed of the solar system flying around the galaxy, center of the galaxy. And our globe is whirling around the sun with a speed and around itself. So we are constantly flying in this huge, immense cosmos and never repeating, never coming to the same space ever again. Never to the same time or to the same space. So we are always new, always refreshed. We are meeting always new dimensions and new spaces. So in that sense, of course, these thousands of yugas of day and night are quite descriptive of the thing. So 1,000 means infinity in Sanskrit. It's just symbolic number, 1 and 3 zeros. So it tells us about infinite capacity. Strange that we are in this situation of infinity. And there is a constancy of speed of light, which is also a very strange thing. It's as if that speed is to be constant in order to keep the whole universe together in this movement. It cannot fly faster or slower than 300,000 kilometers per second.
That's very interesting, because if we're moving at that speed, that's one element, but the fact that we're never coming back into the same place or experiencing the same spot again, yet everything's kind of staying in some place where astrology is charting the course.
Because our Earth is whirling and rotating, yeah? And that's the impression we are looking at the sky, which is kind of rolling around our Earth all the time, yeah? Together with planets.
Well, I just got my hands on a book called Solar Biology, and it's a reference astrology from the center, taking the reference from the center of the sun. You've heard of it, Juliet. You've heard of that. Yeah. By Hiram Butler.
Sorry.
It was written by Hiram Butler.
Iron. Okay. Sometimes they say that.
Yeah. If I get through the book, I'll share what I know about it. But
so our universe.
I think.
Go ahead.
I think it's not the speed. It's the movement of the galaxy, which explains that we are not always on the same spot, because the sun is going around the other stars, and it's never the same place.
Yeah, correct. And our galaxy is also flying from some center of that Big Bang with other galaxies in different direction altogether flying around some other center. So that we cannot calculate even approximately what is their speed. So our trace, what we create with our lives, is quite a unique trace. If we are flying with such a huge speed, then within our lifetime we cover quite a huge space within this infinite space. Because if I live 100 years, then within these 100 years, with 1,000,000 kilometers per hour, I cover with my tail, as a comet tail, I live through this space. My body is built through this space. It's a huge space in the universe. I meet all kinds of forces from the universe flying through that space. So I interact with cosmos on the very fundamental level. And cosmos with me, and with every one of us. We are all leaving this trace in the space. As consciousness is moving through the space, we are the nodes of this consciousness which is moving through the space, as if we are painting the space with our tails flying through. So, from this avyakta, all the vyaktas, all the manifestations come into being and all disappear in the avyakta again. Bhutagramah saevayam bhutva bhutva praliyate. And all these masses of beings, creatures, becomings, come into existence one by one, bhutva bhutva. Again and again and again and again they disappear. Ratriagame avashachs partha prabhavatyaragame. They disappear helplessly, hopelessly at the beginning of the night, and they come into the existence at the beginning of the day. Parastasmattu bhavonyo avyakto vyaktat sanatanah. Avyakto vyaktat. Parastasmattu bhavonyo vyakto vyaktat sanatanah. Yaksa sarveshu bhuteshu nachetsu navinashyati. But this unmanifest is not the original divinity of the being. There is another status of his existence, a supracosmic and manifest beyond this cosmic non-manifestation, which is eternally self-seated, is not an opposite of this cosmic status of manifestation, but far above and unlike it, changeless, eternal, not forced to perish with the perishing of these existences, of all these existences. Paraha, beyond, tasmat, from this too, but beyond of this, bhava, the being, anyach, another, avyaktach, unmanifest, avyaktat, from unmanifest, unmanifest, beyond the unmanifest, sanatana, eternal. Yaksa sarveshu bhuteshu natsetsu, which, when all these creatures disappear, all the becomings perish, navinashyati, does not perish. So beyond this perishable world, there is imperishable world, of which this world is a symbolic representative or manifestation only. Everything comes from that imperishable world into this perishable world to manifest in form and time and space and causality. It is all being here spelled out from that world. So when this world perishes, that world cannot perish. It is unmanifest. Avyakto kshara iti yuktah tamahu paramam gati hyam prapya nanivartante taddhama paramam mama. Avyaktah, unmanifest, akshara, immutable, iti yuktah, thus it is spoken, tam ahu, they call him paramam gati, the highest path, or the supreme goal. Yam prapya, which having realized or reached, nani vartante, nobody comes back, does not return. Taddhama paramam mama, and that is my highest place of existence, supreme place of being. From there is no return, because from there is nowhere to return. It is what it is. From there you don't go back or forward or anywhere. That is the consciousness which has no view on forward and backward, because everywhere forward and backward is that consciousness. If you move forward, you will meet that very consciousness. If you move backward, you meet the same very consciousness. So there is no movement in that state of realization, and that is the highest place of being of the Supreme. Purushaksa parappartha bhaktya labhyah tu anyaya tva nanyaya yasyam tahsthani bhutani yena sarvamidam tatam. But Purusha, that Supreme Supreme Purusha, Paraf Purusha, or Partha, should be attained or realized with love, bhaktya, with devotion, and not otherwise. Yasyantah sthani bhutani yena tatam, yena sarvamidam tatam, of whom all these beings are staying within, by whom all this is being spread, extended. So the whole world is seen as being within this Supreme Purusha, not without. It is by him that this world is being spread, being extended within himself, as it were, by the force of time and space. But that Supreme Purusha has to be won by a bhakti which turns to him alone, in whom all beings exist, and by whom all this world has been extended in space. Yatra kale dvanavrittim avrittim chaiva yoginah prayata yanti tam kalam vakshyami bharatarshabha. I will tell you about that time or wool of Bharatas, where we come to no return and when we come to the return, where the yogins are going to come back and when they don't come back, when they leave the body. So that time wherein departing yogis do not return, and also that wherein departing they return, that time shall I declare to thee, O foremost of the Bharatas. Agnir Jyotir Ahah Shuklach Shanvasa Uttarayanam Tatra Prayata Gachanti Brahma Brahma Vido Jana Dhumo Ratri Tatha Krishna Shanmasa Dakshinayanam Tatra Chandramasam Jyotir Yogi Prapyani Vartate. Fire and light, Agni and Jyoti, and smoke or mist. Here we have it's mixed interpretation. Let me go by verse first. Agni, light, day, light half of the month and light half of the year, where the light is growing. There, the one who goes, those who leave the body, come to Brahman, knowing Brahman people. But smoke and night and dark side of the month, where the moon is fading, waxing, and the southern part of the, or the darkened part, or the winter side, the winter half of the year, there the yogi, having reached the light of the moon, comes to return. So there are two paths. One is Uttarayanam, the path to the north, or to the sun, or we call it sometimes Devayanam, the path of the gods, and the path of the Pitris, Dakshinayana, the path to the south and path to the north. To the north we come to no return, to the south we come with the return to this earth. This is an ancient system, which is quite interesting, because when you stay with the face turned towards the east, your left hand will show to the north, and your right hand will show to the south. So Dakshina is right, Uttara is left. Yeah? So we have two sides of our being, and we have three fires. Yeah? Garhapatya fire is of our household, our involvement into the material body. And there are two fires, to the north for the Pitri, for the gods, and to the south for the Pitris. So this is called the Agnihotra sacrifice, where we make oblation into the three fires, two of which are the paths of our soul. So our soul is developing through Uttarayana or Devayana, through the path to the sun, and that is from Agni we go to light, to day, to the light side of the month, and to the light side, light half of the year, and from there we come to the Brahman, yeah, knowing Brahman. And the other side, the other movement to the smoke, to the night, dark side of the month, and the dark half of the year. And from there we come to the moonlight, not to the sunlight, though sunlight is not mentioned here in the first half, but it is mentioned in other texts. So one is leading us to the sun, and other leading us to the moon. There are two paths, sun and moon. Through the sun we go to no return, through the moon we come to the return to earth. And he explains more here. Shukla Krishna Gati Yete Jagatah Shashvate Mate Ekaya Yatyana Vritti Madhyaya Vartate Punah. Shukla and Krishna are these white or light and dark, these two paths. Gati Yete Jagatah Shashvate Mate, of this world, eternal, are considered. By one goes to no return, by the other one returns again. Naiti sriti partha janam yogi muhyate kasyana tasmat sarveshu kaleshu yoga yukto bhavarjuna. The yogin who knows them is not misled into any error. Therefore, at all times be in yoga warrior. What is interesting here, and let me read the last verse. Vedeshu yajneshu tapaksu chaiva daneshu yat punya phala pradishtam. Atyeti tat sarvamidam viditva yogi param sthanam upaiti chandhyam. The fruit of meritorious deeds declared in the Vedas, sacrifices, austerities, and charitable gifts, the yogi passes all these by having known this and attains to the supreme and sempiternal status. What is interesting here is that though he declares two paths, he says that these two, white and black, are two infinite or eternal paths. They are always there. By one we come to no return, with the other we come to return all the time. We return all the time by one, we are born into this body by one, and by other we are coming to the consciousness which does not see any return anymore. It is our soul. When we realize our unborn being, we do not return when we are born here. We do not have that perception. So the one who knows these two movements, yogin, is never bewildered. How come that he is never bewildered? The one who knows these two movements. He should be bewildered if he falls into the dark path. No, he is not bewildered. He knows both and he is not bewildered. I want to say that there is deeper meaning in these verses than usually understood. What is understood usually is either or. Either you go God's way, that you to no return, and you drop this manifestation and finish with it. But it is not really true. The one who knows both this is not bewildered. Not the one who knows one of them is not bewildered. Therefore, at every time, be connected to yoga. That means be in this body and be connected to your spirit, to your soul. Stay connected while being here. In the Vedas and the sacrifices, in the tapasyas, indeed, and the offerings, this meritorious fruit is declared, shown. Atyeti tat sarvamidam, and the one overcomes all of this, knowing this. Yogi paramsthanam paitichanyam. Yogi comes to the state which is supreme and original. I even wrote an article which actually Radhe published in her book on these few shlokas, showing that Krishna does not mean that we have to leave this world to go to no return as something we all are looking for this liberation. We are looking for the liberation in the soul, but not in the body. In the body we will stay here, but the soul will be free. And that is what makes this path supreme. The supreme path is to have both, to have vidya and avidya, as Isha Upanishad would say. We cannot have only vidya. Vidya and avidya, if we have only vidya, it brings us to the greater darkness than even avidya could bring. That's what Isha Upanishad says. Vidyam cha yastad vedo bhayam saha Avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidyaya mrityum ashna. The one who knows vidya and avidya, he vidyam cha yastad vedo bhayam saha, knows them both together. He, by death, avidyaya mrityum tirtva, having crossed the field of death by avidya, vidyaya amritam ashnute, he enjoys the immortality by knowledge. So by ignorance he is crossing the fields of death. That means he is in this manifestation by the partial knowledge, by ignorance, with the help of ignorance. But by knowledge, he enjoys immortality. And it is simultaneous here. And this is something I think Shri Krishna speaks the same way here, but it is hidden. It's not really visible. It is in the subtlety of the words he chooses. But if we look at it from the Advaitic perspective, we would not see it. We would immediately interpret that Shri Krishna wants us to go to no return, to go out of manifestation. No, he wants our soul to be liberated, not to be tied, our spirit. But our body is to be tied to the manifestation. It should not get out. And that freedom which we may have in this manifestation changes the whole perspective. It brings the consciousness of the Supreme into play, because the Supreme has both the manifest and unmanifest world within himself. And then we will have this glimpse of this highest consciousness. It's a bit bewildering, yeah? One falls into some kind of trance from such thoughts. Okay, so we finished the 8th chapter, finally. Om Tat Sat iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Aksharay Brahma Yoga Nama Ashtamo Dhyaya. Om Tat Sat iti, thus in the Gita, Bhagavad Gita, in the Song of the Lord, in the Upanishads, in the Yoga Shastra of Brahma Vidya, in the dialogue of Shri Krishna and Arjuna, the 8th chapter named the imperishable Brahma Yoga, the yoga of the imperishable spirit. All right, if you have some observations, thoughts, please. Question.
I'm thinking back to the last time I attended the class and also today, and I am noticing a bit of a parallel to the Mahayana Buddhist tradition that says that some of the enlightened ones choose to come back.
Of course. Yeah, it's quite clear. What else should be in Buddhism? Buddhism comes from this tradition. Only it looks for the liberation as the major cause, of course, major aim for. But again, it's a psychological discipline to come to liberation is not such an easy path, you know. Just to realize our unborn self is not a small thing. Of course, they call it differently. They do not say that we liberate our soul, because they think that we do not have soul. We are coming to the state of the spirit, which is beyond, and that is the liberation from dukkha, basically, from the suffering. The whole Buddhism is built on this negative notion of dukkha, how to get out of suffering. It's actually not a very positive religion. It's a rather negative religion, and we're seeking the liberation from the suffering, rather than seeking, say, positive manifestation of some higher spirit. But still, it is quite, and that's how Buddhism lost to Hinduism, because Shankaracharya is very close to Buddhism, by the way. They have nearly the same philosophy, but he was asking one question which Buddhists could not answer. Truly speaking, they have a very weird answer to it. He said, if you believe in liberation, then who is being liberated if there is no soul? So they couldn't answer. So it's a very, very clever question. So if you are believing in nirvana and liberation, but their answer is very interesting also. They say this is the verbal question and requires verbal answer. We are going beyond that. We don't look into the verbal situation. We are going into the psychological state of consciousness, which does not require words. So they beat them on the also in some interesting way, kind of denying them possibility to ask this question, because it is coming from the mind which cannot ask this question and receive the answer, because it won't be that which is in reality anyhow. So here they are not matching, they are mismatching, but still it is considered that Hinduism somehow won, and we can see that Buddhism left India and went to China and South Asia, everywhere, spread everywhere but in India. Tibet and China, even Japan, and to Asia, to the South Asia, to the north. But Buddhism is based on the Buddha's revelation of one person.
Right.
So it's already some teacher got some realization, and of course he was avatar, he was a powerful being. Still, it's in India there are so many avatars, and Krishna and Rama and all the rishis and all the gods and Shiva and Parvati, you just name it. All of them are there, crowded. And here only one person, a human, comes and gets some liberation and builds his religion around it. It cannot compete with Hinduism now. It can only join it, it can flow into it, naturally become part of one of the streams of the knowledge in India. That's what happened to Jainism, Sikhism, all these great religions, which are considered to be world religions, are part of Hinduism in some way. And that's why Hinduism was never against Christianity or Islam even. Islam was very aggressive, and Christianity also. Christianity was less aggressive, and Islam was really very nasty to Hinduism. They killed many people. But Hinduism gave, house for every one of them to come and to be part of this. You believe in this way, you believe your way, you find your God, it's very good. It's the same God, only you name it differently. You remember the Gospel of Ramakrishna? What he was doing? He was really mocking all religions, because he was 1 month a Muslim, 1 month Christian, 1 month a Hindu, and he said, I experienced the same God, so what are you talking about? It's very beautiful, you know how he it's the way how Hindus solve the problem, you know. But none of them, of Christians or Muslims, can solve this problem this way. They can't do it. They would rather, you know, die for their own God and for their own way of... In Buddhists also, they cannot do it. They have that one Buddha and that's it. They can't do much.
Yeah.
But Hindus, they have many gods, so they can do it. Well, it's somewhat simplistic view, but still, I always wonder how Hinduism can tolerate all religions. Not even tolerate, love them, accept them.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody was writing the book on Hinduism, one Russian academician, and she was surprised because when she was in India at that time, it was at the beginning of 20th century, she saw the picture when they were carrying Mahavir or some Christian, a Christ from this. Everybody went out and said, oh, Bhagavan, you know. She said, are you crazy? It's not Bhagavan, it's Christ. You know? And for them it is Bhagavan. So they don't mind. They are looking at him as Bhagavan. There is no difference for them. It's a symbol of their divinity. For them, for the others, it's from another religion. It doesn't matter. Everybody worships the divine in whatever form. In millions of forms he can be worshipped and met here. Spoken and met in millions of forms. Why not in this form? If they can worship him in the form of the stone or tree or, you know, any idol, any human being or animal being, he is everywhere. And this other religions cannot take. This is too much for all. How come? Is the only Son of God. All right.
I guess, you know, we're limited only by our own ability to not accept everything, because as you were speaking, those that would rather choose death at the end of because they couldn't solve their belief system because it's limited or short. Instead of moving on or expanding, they choose death. So I guess, as the old saying is, that all the knowledge is within, and we're just peeling the onion to get to that knowledge. And so we're limited only by our own limitation of the question and not being able to handle the answer. You know, if you believe in something your entire life and all of a sudden it's challenged, probably very threatening to someone at the end, saying, well, I believed in this my whole life and it's not right. How do I go on?
Hinduism says that you are right, whatever you believe in. And this is something very unexpected in a solution for all the solutions. Everybody is right. Choose your way. Go your way. Follow your path till the end, and then see, oh, you want to go this way. It's right. Go this way. There is no wrong path to the divine.
Yes, well, I feel I must share in the last day I was at a local movie premiere that featured a religious person who lives in Tulsa, who was a Black Pentecostal minister, the type that preached hellfire and damnation, who changed over the last 15 years, was cast out of his group, found a new way of life. So that was a very moving story, and one which touches me personally. It's part of my religious community. But then shortly after that, I was helping a friend who talked to a 9-year-old who had just lost a relative for the first time, to discuss these matters of death. So it's not as though at every time I cite the Gita chapter and verse, but this is such inspiration when we face life's interesting events.
Mm. Yeah. Well, it is all over around us, everywhere. Our mind is not capable of holding on to it otherwise. If we would realize it. Anyhow, let us close then for today with mantra and meet next time and take a new chapter, chapter 9. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Okay. See you.
Hadi Om. Thank you, Vladimir.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.